Have you ever wondered why the moment you stop chasing her, she suddenly comes back? It's not magic. It's not coincidence. It's a psychological shift. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why stepping back is the most powerful move a man can make. Youngsters pursue, adults initiate. But true masters, they step back entirely. When you cease chasing after a woman, something transformative occurs, an unexpected shift she never anticipated. Her entire perception undergoes a fundamental change. It's not simply your absence from her world. It's the withdrawal of what secretly empowered her self-image. The instant your attention, validation, and emotional investment disappear, she experiences a sensation she desperately avoided: complete vulnerability. Have you witnessed how a woman's attitude completely transforms when a man withdraws his interest? In one moment, she is dismissive, presumptuous, and treating your feelings as optional. In the next, she is monitoring your online presence, delivering confusing messages and creating transparent excuses to communicate. And you find yourself wondering, this same person who is disregarding me suddenly claims to miss my presence? She doesn't belong for you personally. She craves what you supplied: your attention, your admiration, your pursuit. This revelation emerges when men recognize their inherent value. This is precisely why strategic withdrawal becomes essential. Before exploring this uncomfortable reality further, I request something of you. If you be prepared to confront these difficult truths through the conclusion of this presentation, leave a comment stating, "I am the prize." Say it aloud, write it down, embrace this concept completely. If you believe this straightforward, unfiltered perspective should reach other men who need this message, activate the subscribe function. The platform will distribute this content to those still entrapped. Together, we liberate them from this destructive pattern. Point 1. Initial disbelief. Women excel at subtle influence. They require physical dominance to manipulate men. Force isn't necessary. They employ psychological techniques, emotional leverage, and relationship dynamics to keep men emotionally confined. Most males repeatedly fall victim to these tactics. A woman doesn't need authentic love to maintain control, genuine concern to even required. She simply needs to preserve your desire for her. This constitutes the underlying strategy. They provide just sufficient attention to maintain your engagement, just enough warmth to convince you of your uniqueness, just enough approval to keep you dependent. However, the moment you attempt to fully secure her commitment, she creates distance. Why? Because your security, comfort, and confidence diminish her influence. So she deliberately limits affection precisely enough to intensify your pursuit. Her response times to messages increase. She terminates arrangements without proper notice. She becomes unavailable when previously she seemed eager for your company. How does the typical man respond? He increases his efforts. He invests more heavily. His messages multiply. His calls increase. His actions intensify. This perfectly aligns with her intentions, because increased pursuit translates directly to expanded control over you. But observe what happens when a man finally becomes enlightened. When he awakens to reality. When he refuses to participate in her manipulation. He stops initiating communication. His calls cease. His pursuit ends. His efforts to demonstrate worthiness disappear. He completely disengages. And the second this shift happens, she detects it. Initially, she maintains a facade of indifference. She behave as if nothing has changed. She continue acting with apparent normalcy. Yet beneath this surface, total alarm has taken hold. She is reassuring herself, this can be real. This defies possibility. He couldn't truly be departing. He must be employing a strategy. He'll certainly return. In her experience, men invariably come back. She has witnessed this pattern repeatedly. She has verified this reaction previously. Most guys surrender within just a few days. They grow anxious. They yield completely. But something unusual is occurring this time. You've stopped sending messages. You've ceased monitoring her activities. You're no longer pleading for her recognition. This creates the first fracture in her perception of reality. She begins testing boundaries cautiously. She casually approves one of your social media posts. She forwards a casual greeting without context. She views your updates and anticipates a response. During this period, she is engaging in something profoundly threatening to her self-image. She is actively anticipating your acknowledgement. She is frequently checking her device. She is searching for that alert notification. She is clinging to the possibility you communicate. Should you respond, she achieves victory, because then she confirms you were merely pretending. However, if you maintain distance, if you preserve silence, if you genuinely move forward, her perceived dominance over you completely collapses. This transforms panic into personal insecurity. This initiates her self-examination. And that signals the beginning of the second phase. Point 2. Insecurity and self-examination. Initially, she constructs a protective falsehood to shield her pride. He is employing manipulation tactics. He is attempting to provoke jealousy. He eventually tire and reconnect. As time progresses without any contact from you, her mental defenses start crumbling. She resists acknowledging the situation. She struggles accepting the developing circumstances. Yet she cannot evade this reality, because internally, she is experiencing something entirely unfamiliar: abandonment. Women aren't conditioned to process rejection effectively. Men encounter it consistently. Men face dismissal, disappearance, disregard, avoidance. This represents standard experience for men. But females remain unfamiliar with this sensation. Throughout most of her existence, she has maintained multiple possibilities. She has experienced consistent male pursuit. She has received continuous messages, praise for her attributes, pleas for her attention. Now, unexpectedly, a man has genuinely departed. Suddenly, she confronts a disturbing consideration. Perhaps I wasn't as exceptional as I believed. This triggers her internal questioning. She dedicates additional time examining her reflection. She extends her cosmetic preparation routine. She repeatedly views your online presence, contemplating whether you proceeded forward. Because uncertainty has overtaken her, a woman's complete self-concept rests upon the notion of being sought after, of possessing worth, of being desired. When someone she presumed she influenced no longer shows interest, it forces confrontation with an unwelcome reality. She begins questioning herself. Is my attractiveness diminishing? Has he discovered someone superior? Was I somehow inadequate? These thoughts become maddening, because now unfamiliar emotions emerge. Feelings she never anticipated experiencing toward you. Envy. She speculates about potential new relationships. She monitors who engages with your content. She investigates your connections, examining responses beneath your shared content. Because unexpectedly, she has become the pursuer. This internally consumes her. She maintain appearances. She project contentment. Yet internally, she is in turmoil. This explains women's inevitable return. They be unprepared to accept the concept of a man who progresses without looking backward. As this discomfort intensifies, her desperation grows. This leads to the concluding stage, the compensatory behavior, the justification, the collapse. When her entire perspective begins disintegrating. Point 3. Justification and compensatory behavior. At this juncture, her emotional state becomes completely unregulated. She has experienced disbelief, rejection, anxiety, and self-questioning. She has spent sleepless hours watching her device, reviewing your online activities, wondering about your absence. Now she reaches the most damaging phase, rationalization. Her mind creates protective illusions to avoid confronting harsh reality. She surrendered influence over someone supposedly beneath her status. A man wasn't expected to leave. A man should have been emotional, distressed, imploring for reconciliation. Instead, your behavior contradicts these expectations completely. You remain unaffected. You ignore her updates. You maintain communication silence. You appear undisturbed. Here she begins reconstructing past events. She requires justification for your departure, preventing acknowledgement of her responsibility. She fabricates internal narratives. She tells herself, my interest was always minimal. His excessive attention became unappealing. He lacked strength. That explains his inability to manage our relationship. I merit something better. She informs her social circle about your supposed neediness or her diminished interest. She persuades herself she terminated the relationship first, despite your actual withdrawal. She feigns improved circumstances without you. But understand this crucial point. She is not attempting to convince others. She is struggling to convince herself, because fundamentally, she recognizes reality. She recognizes she mishandled a relationship with someone possessing genuine strength. She comprehends she forfeited a man who refused manipulation. This knowledge devastates her internally. She avoids solitary contemplation. She resists self-examination. She cannot acknowledge her poor judgment. So what action does she take? She secures another relationship. Here she commits her most significant error, entering a reactive relationship. She accepts the first available candidate, a submissive individual, a people pleaser, someone lacking backbone who will adore her blindly. Someone she never genuinely desired. What motivates this behavior? Because genuine affection ISN to her objective. She employs him as emotional first aid to mask the ache of your absence. She requires someone to repair her damaged self-image. She needs confirmation of her continued attractiveness. She needs visible male pursuit to restore her sense of worth. That explains her sudden flood of cheerful photographs, holiday excursions, and displays of apparent happiness. She intends for you to notice. She wants to create the impression she is completely recovered. She hopes to provoke your jealousy. What she fails to understand, the only victim is herself. Initially, appearances suggest her triumph. She has established a new connection. Her social presence increases. Her smiles multiply. She portrays perfect contentment. But a fundamental problem exists. She lacks authentic regard for him. Because internally, she understands the reality about indecisive men. She recognizes this replacement was overly accessible. He never required her genuine effort. He lacked sufficient self-worth to reject her manipulative tactics. He never departed. He rushed toward her immediately when she displayed minimal interest. And women invariably disrespect men they can easily influence. Consequently, what develops? Her attraction diminishes. She begins recognizing this replacement fails to stimulate her interest. He presents no real challenge. He maintains no sense of intrigue. He doesn't compel her to demonstrate her value. Suddenly, monotony overtakes her. When women experience boredom, infidelity often follows. She initiates communication with additional men. Her social outings increase. She creates distance between herself and him. Before he comprehends the situation, she has already departed. But who occupies her thoughts now? You, because she now comprehends her critical error. She exchanged strength for weakness. She chose inferior quality. She sacrificed influence for convenience. And that represents an error she perpetually lament. This explains women's inevitable return. They daunt to reappear due to emotional attachment. They daunt to reconnect because of nostalgic yearning. They resurface because they incorrectly assumed better opportunities existed elsewhere, then discovered they stood in barren territory. They returned because you presented a worthwhile challenge, and they exchanged you for someone completely subservient. They reappear because they believed superior options existed, then recognized they surrendered their greatest possession. When this awareness finally strikes, opportunity has passed, because by the time comprehension arrives, you've already moved forward. Now you've become inaccessible. You've become the one who proceeded onward. You've become genuinely independent, and therein lies ultimate authority. Most males never grasp this concept. They persist in pursuit. They continue messaging. They persist in seeking recognition. This guarantees their constant defeat. But those men who truly comprehend these dynamics, those who depart with genuine finality, they transform into the only males women genuinely respect. Because here is the fundamental reality. Women never cherish men they can manipulate. They only value those who refuse manipulation. Once you internalize this principle, you never again pursue a woman. You never plead for attention. You never squander energy attempting to demonstrate your value, because you embody the ultimate reward. The journey we explored reveals a fundamental truth about human connection. When you finally understand your inherent value, everything changes, not just relationships with women, but your entire approach to life. This isn't about manipulation or revenge. It's about reclaiming your personal power and self-respect. Walking away isn't a tactic to make someone return. It is the natural consequence of recognizing your own worth. Many men spend years trapped in cycles of validation seeking, offering endless attention while receiving scraps in return. They mistake this imbalance for love or commitment, when it is actually a form of emotional servitude. True strength emerges when you establish boundaries that reflect your value, when you can genuinely walk away, not as a strategic move, but as a natural response to disrespect. You transform from participant to creator of your own reality. Consider this. What happens when you redirect the energy you've been pouring into chasing validation? That same passion, focus, and dedication can fuel your personal growth. career advancement, and genuine connections with those who appreciate you. The most liberating aspect of this understanding is how it changes your perception. The anxiety of potential rejection dissolves because you recognize your worth doesn't depend on anyone's disapproval. The constant fear of losing someone fades because you will always have yourself. Remember, a woman who truly values you will make efforts to keep you. She'll demonstrate respect, appreciation, and reciprocal investment. The right person doesn't need manipulation or games. They recognize quality when they see it. For those currently experiencing the pain of withdrawal or questioning your decision to walk away, trust the process. Your immediate discomfort is temporary, but the self-respect you rebuilding is permanent. This path isn't easy. Society constantly reinforces the narrative that men should chase, prove themselves, and compete for female attention. Breaking free requires courage, conviction, and sometimes solitude. But on the other side of this struggle awaits authentic connection, relationships built on mutual respect rather than power dynamics. When two people both consider themselves prizes, they create something truly exceptional. The ultimate victory to making someone come back to you. It is reaching a state where their return doesn't matter anymore because they discovered something far more valuable. The unwavering certainty in your own worth. Your value determined by anyone is validation. You are inherently worthy of respect, appreciation, and reciprocal effort. Never forget, you are, and always have been, the prize. At the core of everything you just heard is one timeless truth. Your value doesn't come from how much you chase. It comes from how much you walk away when you are not respected. Most men spend their lives believing that effort equals love, that persistence wins her over. But the harsh reality, the more you give without reciprocation, the more invisible you become. The moment you reclaim your energy, your attention, your pursuit, you reclaim your power. And that shift, it doesn't just affect her, it transforms you. You begin to show up differently. You begin to focus on yourself. You stop being reactive, and you start becoming intentional. And here's the twist. When you no longer need validation, the world starts validating you. So don't return to the old cycle. Don't reopen the door she casually shut. Move forward with purpose, with clarity, and with the unshakable belief that the right person will never need to be chased. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned. And now, you know how to make her earn yours. If you done playing by rules that only benefit others, drop a comment below. I choose myself. I am the prize. Say it out loud. Write it down. And if you've ever experienced a moment where walking away changed everything, share it in the comments. Your story might wake someone else up. Remember this. Women don't value men they can control. They only respect those who walk away when respect is gone. Never chase what should naturally stay. You are the prize. If this message spoke to you, hit subscribe, and let's wake up the men still living in the fog.